Good morning, I'm Alan. There's a specific quietness to a Sunday morning here on the porch. Just me and a hot cup of coffee, watching the sun hit the garden. But for my neighbor Susan, that peace usually ends the moment she steps in front of her bathroom mirror. At 58, she told me she feels a little pang of heartache every time she brushes her hair and notices just a bit more of her scalp peeking through than the month before. It's that quiet worry that maybe you felt too, wondering if your hair is slowly fading away, just like the daylight in winter. We often blame just getting older or stress, but what if I told you the real culprit might actually be hiding right inside your refrigerator, disguised as a healthy choice? Susan thought she was doing everything right with her daily green smoothies, but she didn't know that some popular greens can actually trick your body and block the very nutrients your hair is crying out for. Have you ever wondered why your hair feels thinner despite all those healthy salads you've been eating? Today, I want to share a secret that brought the spark back to Susan's eyes, including a humble vegetable you've walked past at Costco 100 times that packs more hair-loving protein than an egg. Stick around with me, because we're going to turn that morning fear into hope, one simple grocery trip at a time. Lately, every time I make a run to Costco, I see something that makes me pause. You know the sight. Carts overflowing with those massive, pillow-sized bags of fresh spinach. It seems like everyone I know, from my neighbors to my own family, has a NutriBullet or a fancy blender on their counter these days, ready to whip up a healthy green smoothie to start the day. It feels like the right thing to do, doesn't it? This brings me to Linda. She's 52, vibrant, and exactly the kind of person who does everything right for her health. Linda started every morning with a giant green smoothie packed with raw spinach, believing she was flooding her body with nutrients. But instead of her hair getting thicker, she noticed her part widening and more strands collecting in her hairbrush. She was heartbroken and confused. She asked me, "I'm eating so many greens, how can my hair be starving?" Here is the secret that many of us miss, and it's hidden right in those leafy greens. Raw spinach is high in natural compounds called oxalates. When you eat large amounts of spinach raw, like in those daily smoothies, these oxalates act like tiny magnets in your digestive system. They bind to essential minerals, specifically iron and calcium, preventing your body from absorbing them. And as we know, iron deficiency is one of the most common reasons women see hair thinning. Linda wasn't losing hair because of what she wasn't eating. She was losing it because those nutrients were being locked away before they could reach her hair follicles. But please don't throw out your greens. There is so much hope here because the fix is incredibly simple. You don't need expensive treatments. You just need a little heat. By lightly steaming or sautéing your spinach for just a few minutes, you break down those oxalates, unlocking the iron so your body can actually use it. If you love a raw salad, just squeeze some fresh lemon juice over it. The vitamin C helps overpower those blockers. It's a small tweak that gave Linda and can give you control back. Now, if you think spinach is a tricky friend, wait until we talk about the next vegetable. It's the one we all turn to when we want to drop a few pounds before a beach trip or a wedding, but it might be secretly starving your hair of the energy it needs to grow. You won't believe which diet staple is actually empty calories for your follicles. Before we head to the produce aisle for that one, if you're finding these tips helpful, please take a moment to click that subscribe button. It helps us keep this supportive community growing. Now let's talk about that crunch you might be relying on a little too much. That reminds me of the satisfying, crisp crunch of a cold slice of iceberg lettuce on a burger during a 4th of July cookout. It feels so light and refreshing, doesn't it? But sometimes that lightness can be a bit of an illusion, especially when we are trying our best to take care of ourselves. I want to share a story about a neighbor of mine, Karen. She's 55 and was so excited about a family trip down to Florida last spring. Like so many of us do before a beach vacation, she wanted to feel her best. She started every morning with just a glass of celery juice, because that's what all the magazines suggested, and she practically lived on big bowls of crisp iceberg lettuce salad for lunch. She felt disciplined and thought she was doing a wonderful thing for her health. But a few months later, she was sitting right here on my porch looking worried because her hair seemed to have lost all its life and volume. Here is the secret that diet culture often hides from us. Your hair is incredibly energy hungry. In fact, hair cells are some of the fastest growing cells in your entire body. When we fill up on foods like celery and iceberg lettuce, which are mostly just crunchy water and fiber with very little protein or energy, our bodies essentially go into conservation mode. It's like your body decides, okay, we don't have enough fuel to keep the lights on everywhere, so we're going to dim the lights on hair growth to keep the heart and brain running bright. Karen was technically full, but her hair was starving for the protein it needs to build strong strands. You have to ask yourself, is your clean eating actually putting your hair follicles on a starvation plan without you even realizing it? It's a trade-off you don't have to make. We can easily swap those empty greens for nutrient-dense options that fuel your beauty rather than draining it. And speaking of foods we think are harmless, there is another incredibly common comfort food, a staple at almost every family dinner, that might be silently causing inflammation while you think it's just a harmless side dish. Let's head into the kitchen and look at that next. Let's be honest with each other. Is there really anything more comforting than a hot, loaded baked potato on a chilly evening? Or passing a bowl of creamy mashed potatoes around the table when the grandkids come over for Sunday dinner? It's pure comfort food, deeply woven into our traditions. But last weekend, while chatting with my neighbor Brenda, a vibrant 60-year-old who loves her family BBQs, we realized something important about these white potatoes. You see, Brenda noticed her hair wasn't just thinning, it felt weaker, almost tired. We discovered that those beloved white potatoes have a high glycemic index. When you eat them, especially mashed or fried, they cause your blood sugar to spike rapidly. Your body rushes to release insulin to manage that spike, and this roller coaster often creates inflammation. Imagine inflammation like a tiny, invisible fire simmering around your hair follicles, making it harder for them to hold on to your beautiful hair. But please don't worry. I am not telling you to banish comfort from your life. There is a wonderful, colorful swap that brings so much hope. Have you tried replacing the white potato with a sweet potato? They are lower on that glycemic scale and packed with vitamins that hug your hair from the inside out. And here is a little secret kitchen trick that always surprises my friends. If you absolutely love white potatoes, try boiling them and letting them cool down before eating. This simple act creates something called resistant starch, making it much gentler on your blood sugar. It's amazing how a small shift in preparation can turn a potential foe into a friend, isn't it? Brenda started swapping in sweet potatoes at her dinners, and not only did she feel less sluggish, but she felt she was actively nurturing her hair again. It's about cooling down that internal inflammation so your natural beauty can thrive. Now that we've handled the main course, let me invite you to sit on the porch for a snack. There is a little green treasure hiding in the freezer aisle that packs a protein punch you wouldn't believe. It's a game changer for hormone balance, and I can't wait to tell you about it. That conversation about comfort foods reminds me of a Tuesday evening a few weeks back. I was wandering through the frozen food aisle at the grocery store, honestly just looking for a pint of ice cream to enjoy on the porch, when I bumped into my friend Patricia. At 53, Patricia has been going through those personal summers, the hot flashes that come out of nowhere, and she confided in me that she was trying to cut back on red meat, but was terrified her hair would get even thinner without it. She was staring at the glass door, unsure what to grab. I pointed to a humble green bag she had looked right past a dozen times. It wasn't peas, it was edamame. If you've been feeling like your hormones are on a roller coaster ride that's taking your hair with it, this might be the green treasure you've been waiting for. You see, while we often think we need a steak to get high-quality protein, just 1 cup of cooked edamame packs about 18 grams of complete protein. That is nearly as much as you'd get from 3 eggs, but it comes from the earth. Since your hair is literally built from protein, if you aren't getting enough, your body simply doesn't have the bricks to rebuild the strands you lose in the shower. But here is why I truly love this for women like Patricia. Beyond just the protein, edamame is rich in isoflavones. Think of these as nature's gentle way of helping to balance the estrogen fluctuations that can trigger hair thinning during menopause. It's like a calming hand on the shoulder of your hormones. Patricia started keeping a bag of shelled edamame in her freezer to toss into her salads or just steam with a pinch of sea salt for a snack. And she told me she feels like she's finally feeding her body what it's been whispering for. Protein provides the building blocks, but to actually construct a strand of hair that doesn't break, you need a specific architect vitamin to hold it all together. Do you know which common, colorful vegetable has more of this vitamin than an orange? I'm going to tell you about that next, and it might change how you look at your veggie tray forever. If this helped, comment, "I'm ready for healthier hair" below. Now, protein is the foundation, but to actually build the structure of your hair, you need a very specific architect. This brings me to a memory from just last weekend. I was at a neighborhood potluck standing by the food table, and I noticed something interesting about the veggie tray. Everyone was reaching for the carrots and the ranch dip, but they were leaving behind the most vibrant, beautiful red strips on the platter. That moment made me think of Martha. She's 56, a wonderful woman who sings in our church choir. Martha told me recently that she dreaded styling her hair for Sunday mornings because every time she used a curling iron or even just brushed it vigorously, she saw little broken pieces of hair falling onto her dark blouse. She felt her hair had become dry, brittle, and fragile, like dried leaves in autumn. She thought she just needed a better conditioner, but what she really needed was cement to hold those protein bricks together. That cement is collagen, and the red bell pepper you might be ignoring on the veggie tray is actually a collagen factory waiting to be unlocked. Most of us have been told our whole lives to drink orange juice for vitamin C, but here is a little secret. A red bell pepper contains significantly more vitamin C than an orange. Did you know that without enough vitamin C, your body literally cannot produce the collagen necessary to keep your hair strands strong and flexible? When Martha started slicing up a crisp, sweet red pepper to eat with hummus for her afternoon snack instead of processed crackers, she wasn't just curbing her hunger. She was flooding her body with the antioxidants needed to protect her hair follicles from aging. It's a simple, colorful change, but for Martha, it meant her hair started to feel resilient again, snapping back instead of snapping off. But building the structure is only half the battle. To really let your hair thrive, we need to make sure the internal environment, specifically your hormone balance, is clean and functioning perfectly. There is a detox duo of vegetables that many of us avoided as children, but they hold the key to clearing out the obstacles that stop hair growth. You might want to grab a pen for this next part because how you cook them makes all the difference. While those red peppers are acting as the architect building your hair's structure, we still need a dedicated cleaning crew to make sure the construction site remains safe and balanced. I know, I know. The moment I mention Brussels sprouts, you probably flash back to your childhood kitchen smelling that boiled, mushy vegetable that you were forced to eat before leaving the dinner table. It brings back memories of those old Thanksgiving dinners where the green veggies were just an afterthought. But please hear me out, because this little vegetable changed everything for my friend Nancy. At 51, Nancy wasn't just dealing with thinning hair. She felt heavy and sluggish, and she noticed her hair was specifically thinning right at the crown of her head. She didn't realize that her liver, the body's master filter, was struggling to process the hormonal shifts of her age. When your liver gets overwhelmed, it can't clear out excess hormones efficiently, and that imbalance often shows up directly on your scalp. This is where our green heroes, Brussels sprouts and broccoli, come in to save the day. They are packed with two powerful compounds, sulforaphane and DIM. Think of them as a gentle detox team that supports your liver in clearing out used hormones that might otherwise linger and shrink your hair follicles. Nancy stopped boiling her sprouts and started roasting them in the oven with a little olive oil and garlic salt until they were crispy and golden, just like we do for a modern Sunday roast. It transformed them from a punishment into a treat she actually craved. By simply adding these roasted gems to her dinner plate 3 times a week, Nancy didn't just feel lighter, she created a welcoming environment for her hair to grow back stronger. It's amazing how a simple shift in the kitchen can signal safety to your body. But if you think these garden vegetables are powerful, wait until you see what's next. There is a miracle ingredient from the ocean that I keep in my pantry, something so potent for reversing hair thinning that I often save it for the people who feel they've tried absolutely everything else. Let's look at that game changer together. Sometimes the biggest miracles come in the smallest packages. While we've been filling our carts with fresh greens, there is a secret I call the ocean's whisper that sits quietly on the shelf of your local health food store, or maybe hidden in those trendy smoothie bowls you see at cafes in California. This brings me to Diane, a lovely 59-year-old woman I met last autumn. Diane had spent a small fortune at Sephora, trying every expensive volume-boosting shampoo and serum on the shelf. She told me, "Alan, I'm putting gold on my scalp, but the hair just keeps leaving." She felt like she was fighting a losing battle against time. That changed when she stopped treating the outside and started feeding the inside with something powerful, spirulina. Now, I know blue-green algae doesn't sound like the most appetizing snack, but hear me out. Spirulina contains a rare, incredible nutrient called phycocyanin. Think of phycocyanin as a shield for your hair cells. Research suggests it fights the oxidative stress that causes your hair follicles to shrink and give up. It effectively helps reverse that miniaturization process where hairs get thinner and thinner until they disappear. Source 538. Plus, gram for gram, it packs more usable protein than steak and is loaded with iron that, unlike spinach, is easy for your body to absorb. Source 538. Diane started adding just a teaspoon to her morning smoothie. I'll be honest with you, it has a very earthy taste, so you'll want to blend it with a banana or some frozen berries to mask the flavor. But within a few months, Diane wasn't just seeing less hair in the drain, she saw new, fine baby hairs framing her face again. It gave her back the confidence to go out without checking her reflection every 5 minutes. If you are loving these tips and feeling hopeful again, please comment "great hair" down below so I know you're with me. And if this video has been useful, even just a little bit, please hit that like button. It truly helps our community grow. But here is the catch. Even if you eat all the right superfoods, your body might still be running on empty if you have a hidden leak in your fuel tank. There are three specific numbers on your medical chart that most people ignore, but they hold the final key to your hair's survival. Let's look at that checklist next. Eating the right foods, like that incredible spirulina we just discussed, is a wonderful first step. But sometimes, even when we do everything right in the kitchen, our body might still be whispering for help in a language we can't quite hear. It reminds me of my neighbor, Carol. She is 54 and incredibly diligent about her health. She takes her calcium supplements for her bones and walks around the neighborhood every evening. But a few months ago, she sat at my kitchen table, frustrated, holding a stack of lab results from her annual physical. She told me, "Alan, my doctor says I'm perfectly healthy, so why is my hair still ending up in the shower drain?" Have you ever looked at your blood test results, seen that everything is marked normal, but you still don't feel like yourself? It's a common feeling. And here is why it happens with our hair. We looked closer at Carol's numbers. While her standard blood count was fine, her doctor hadn't initially flagged her ferritin levels. Think of ferritin as your body's savings account for iron. You might have enough cash in your wallet, hemoglobin, to get through the day. But if your savings account is empty, your body panics and shuts down luxury expenses. And sadly, your body considers your beautiful hair a luxury. Research suggests that for hair to thrive, not just survive, those iron stores need to be optimized, not just in range. Then there is the sunshine vitamin. Living here in the States, we spend so much time indoors or wearing sunscreen to protect our skin that many of us are silently low on vitamin D. Carol was surprised to learn that vitamin D actually helps create new hair follicles. Without it, the hair cycle can stall. And we cannot forget zinc, especially if you have been cutting back on red meat. Zinc acts like the maintenance crew for your hair structure. Without it, hair becomes brittle and snaps before it can grow long. Once Carol asked her doctor to check these specific hair heroes, she found the missing puzzle pieces. It wasn't about adding more medication. It was about filling those specific tanks. If you've been feeling tired along with seeing hair fall, this checkup might be the missing link you've been looking for. Now, knowing what to eat and what to check is powerful, but it all comes down to how we see ourselves in the mirror tomorrow morning. I want to leave you with one final thought about this journey we are on together. As the afternoon sun starts to dip below the fence and the neighborhood quiets down, I find myself reflecting on the journey we've taken today. Sitting here on the porch with my empty mug, I'm thinking about you and the thousands of women, like my neighbor Susan, who have silently carried the weight of worrying about their hair. We've covered so much ground today, from rethinking that morning celery juice to embracing the colorful power of red peppers and understanding the hidden strength of nutrients like iron and spirulina. But more than just grocery tips, I hope you walk away with something far more valuable: hope. It is so easy to feel like our best days are behind us, or that our bodies have stopped listening to us. But the truth is, your body is incredibly resilient. It is constantly renewing, repairing, and waiting for the right building blocks. Whether it's balancing your hormones with a handful of edamame or soothing inflammation with a smarter choice at dinner, these small acts of self-love add up. You are not just fixing your hair. You are reclaiming your confidence and telling yourself that you are worth the effort. I am so grateful you chose to spend this time with me. If these stories and tips resonated with you, or if you're ready to try just one of these changes, please join our growing community by hitting that subscribe button and turning on the notification bell. It helps us support each other, and I don't want you to miss our next chat on the porch. There is so much more we can uncover together about aging with vitality and joy. Please be patient with yourself. Healing takes time, just like a garden takes a season to bloom. But I believe in you. I'm Alan, your friend and neighbor, wishing you peace, health, and a beautiful week ahead. Until next time.